Hi, my name is Rob Holcomb with SOSTA, and this is the second part of our video series on the recording process for HTTP and HTTPS web-based applications. So in the first part, we talked about how we go through the recording process and capture that recording. This second part of the video will walk you through the interface and how to interact with some of the different elements inside of the recording. So let's take a look at the product. Okay, so when we left off in the previous video, we had a recording that we captured against sostastore.com, and you can see some of the different requests up here in the top. You know, the default view as you go in and take a look at this recording, as you can see, is these little icons that go across, and that's useful for just seeing as it comes in. I like, as I'm developing a test, to pop down here into what we call list mode. So if I go into list mode, I like this because it allows me to see a lot more information about each of the individual requests as part of the test. So I can see SOSTA store, I can see the response code, so 200. In some cases, what you'll see, and this is a pretty common thing actually in some web applications, 404 on the fav icon, for example. So in this case, the application hasn't defined a fav icon. The browser automatically makes a request. So likely I could filter this out or do something about that. In many cases, though, we will run across applications that have 404s where the application just has a bug in it. So if that's the case, you run across something like that, always obviously reach out to your application teams and let them know that you've encountered a 404 so that they can take a look at that on the application side. But in general, this view gives you the ability to see lots of different information, see each of the different requests, information about those particular requests. One of the other things, this is a small recording, so I don't know that we'll be able to see it. But up here, let me get rid of this. Up here, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, you see this little 20 to 34 of 60. What this is doing is it's enabling dynamic scrolling. Yeah, in this case, it's not doing it. So for longer videos, or longer recordings rather, what you'll see is hundreds or thousands of individual message requests. And rather than try and bring all those up on the screen automatically with the recording editor, it'll bring chunks of about 100 up. Yeah, see, we only have 60 messages here in this recording. 60 HTTP requests. So when you get chunks of 100, and then what it'll do, you'll scroll down, you'll see some gaps, and then it will fill it in the background. So if you see that in the recording editor, that's what's happening. Now, one other thing to note about the recording, these are read-only, so you can't make modifications to that. Any modifications to the test or what you're trying to do with the test, that will be done in a subsequent step that won't be part of this video. That will be done, and once you've converted that recording into a test clip, specifically in the parlance of SOSTA Cloud Test, but you've converted that into a test clip, then you can do the editing there. Now, in the lower portion of the screen, one of the things to note is we've got a request side and a response side. So the left side is everything that has to do with the requests. The right side has everything to do with the responses. So in this particular case, we can see both the headers and the body. We'll talk about this body. This is basically post content. In fact, let's go. So in this particular case, we are adding a product ID to the cart. So you can see what the post data looks like, in addition to obviously the header information, then the response header information, and then the response body. We can see what that looks like on the right side as well. Depending on the particular request, you can show the entire response as HTML if you'd like. In this case, it's obviously not HTML, but if we go back up to, say, the home page, we show as HTML. What that will do, you can now kind of get a visual. It won't be perfect because we're not loading CSS or anything like that, but it'll give you a visual of what that page looked like when you recorded it. Just again, to give you a sense, if you don't want to look at just raw HTML, it gives you a chance to visualize that as well. Now, we're not talking about binary protocols, but you can see if in fact there were binary protocols involved in this recording, you would have to check this checkbox so that you could see the data traffic rather than just seeing kind of garbagey binary data. Now, one of the things that you'll notice in this recording is that we've got sostastore.com and then we've got clients.google.com. So the browser was automatically doing some autocomplete stuff for me. Chrome was. So in this case, I might not want to keep those in my recording, or rather in my test. So I'll just filter those out. So what I'll do is click this filter icon, and I'll say I want to, in this case, we're going to filter out host names that contain google.com. Over here on the right, we'll apply that. And now as I scroll down, I can see all of the host names are sostastore.com. Okay. Now, the other thing I'll notice here is it looks like I have something coming from gravatar.com. So maybe I'll go ahead and filter that guy out too. Okay, so oops, host name does not contain gravatar.com. Apply that. Okay, and now we filter that out. Now, in this case, obviously, I filtered out different host names. Obviously, you can also specifically filter for specific host names. Really depends on your application, whether or not you know which host names are supposed to be part of your test. Now, we're not showing it in this particular video, but there will be other options for filtering out some of these different requests in subsequent steps as well. So with that, that pretty much covers all of the main points for the HTTP, HTTPS recording process. Note, as always, that Find Out How is a great reference online. You can see a couple different links here for information about HTTPS recording. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.